Morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Judicial Council Administrative Office of the Courts meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First, welcome, and I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Happy Hanukkah. And a couple of housekeeping reminders. As you are aware, if you are a guest to the meeting, we ask you to please email rsvp@georgiacourts.gov so we can have a record of your attendance for our meeting minutes. This meeting is being recorded, both audio and visual, as usual. It's also being live streamed. And of course, it's, as always, open to the press and public. During voting matters, we will be calling for opposition only in order to provide for a smoother process. You all have really accommodated us in the past on that, and I appreciate it. We also ask, if you're not speaking, to please mute your devices. That makes everyone's ability to listen and hear and their experience much better. We have few members actually unable to attend. They have designees. I want to recognize those designees. Chief Judge James Blanchard is here for Judge Cheryl Jolly. Judge Blanchard, thank you for being here. We're thankful for your attendance. We also have Chief Judge Robert Cowan is here for Chief Judge David Will. Judge Cowan, thank you as well for being with us today. We have a special guest. I'm not sure if she's here yet because I can't see the entire gallery view, but Judge Kathy Goslin of the Northeastern Judicial Circuit is here as a special guest. You will hear from her later. Judge Goslin, welcome. I am required to administer the oath to one new member who was unable to attend our August meeting, Judge Chris Bowder. Chris, I'm unable to see you, but if you can let me know if you can hear me and are you present?
Yes, sir. I hear you. I can't see you, though.
All right, Judge, I'm going to ask you, if you will, to repeat after me as you take the oath as a member of the Judicial Council. I do swear or affirm.
I do swear or affirm.
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge.
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge.
And perform all the duties incumbent on me.
And perform all the duties incumbent upon me.
As a member of the Judicial Council of Georgia.
As a member of the Judicial Council of Georgia.
According to the best of my ability and understanding.
According to the best of my ability and understanding.
That as a member of the Judicial Council.
That as a member of the Judicial Council.
I will endeavor to improve the administration of justice in this state.
That I will endeavor to improve
the administration of justice in this state.
The administration of justice in this state.
For the benefit of the public.
For the benefit of the public.
As well as the bench and bar.
As well as the bench and bar.
That I will strive to improve the judicial system.
That I will strive to improve the judicial system.
Of this state as a whole.
Of this state as a whole.
As well as in its parts.
As well as in its parts.
And that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Georgia.
And the Constitution of the State of Georgia.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you, Judge, and welcome as the newest member sworn to the Judicial Council. We welcome your input and your service to the members of this commission and the judges across the state. With that, I'll turn to Judge Clanton. I'm sorry, Cynthia. I'm sorry. Cynthia, if you'll give us the roll call and confirm that we've got a quorum and all members are present.
Absolutely. So I just need to confirm Vice Chief Trent Brown.
Present.
Good morning. Judge Hamrick.
I saw him on there.
Vice Chief Harris.
I'm here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Judge
Cynthia,
Stewart.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm glad you're with us. Judge Stewart.
I'm here.
Judge Rob Leonard for Chief Judge Scott Smith. Chief Judge Blanchard.
I'm here for Judge Jolly. Good morning, Ms. Clanton.
Good morning. Chief Judge John Edwards.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Good to see you. Judge Warner Kennan. Okay. Judge Neil Brunt.
Cynthia, Judge Leonard just joined.
Great, great. Judge Danielle McCray,
I'm here. Good morning.
good morning. Judge Bryson, I think I spotted you.
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
And Judge Wolf.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Chief, we've got a quorum.
Fantastic, Cynthia. Thank you for that. And thank you all for being here on time. I'll try to get you out on time, but we appreciate your service. With that, I want to call on Chief Magistrate Judge Brandon Bryson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Judge Bryson.
Thank you, Chief Justice. If everyone will join me, place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Thank you, Judge. We appreciate you. Next, we move to the approval of our minutes. They are found at tab 1 of your binder. These would be the minutes of the August 18, 2023 general session, which was held in Atlanta. I will entertain any edits or corrections to those minutes, and if there are none, a motion that they be approved.
Move
This
to
is Sam's. Yeah, second by Sam's.
There's a motion and a second by Sams. Who made the motion? Judge Brown?
Judge Brown.
Judge Brown has moved. Judge Sams has seconded. Is there any further discussion concerning the meeting minutes? Is there any opposition that they be approved? Hearing none, they are approved. Thank you so much for that. We'll now work our way through the agenda, and I'd like to discuss very briefly the work of the Competency to Stand Trial Committee. Judge Kathy Goslin is here to present momentarily, but just a couple of lead comments before she presents. We heard a presentation last year during the council about the Familiar Faces program in Fulton County. You are all aware that Governor Kemp has established the Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission. That commission has a broad spectrum of duties. One of the 5 committees of that council is the Mental Health Courts and Corrections Committee. I have the pleasure of chairing that committee, along with many judges across the state who serve me on that committee. We have been working on matters involving familiar faces, people that law enforcement deal with regularly, that interact with the justice system, and not surprisingly have either co-occurring or behavioral health issues or substance use disorder issues. And so I formed, coming out of the information gleaned from that committee, I formed the Competency to Stand Trial Committee to address the challenges our state and superior court judges are facing in competency matters, including lengthy waits for evaluations, backlogs, and limited competency restoration beds. It's an issue I addressed when I was a superior court judge years ago. It is an issue that I continue to hear about. It's a conversation that I've regularly engaged in with the newest commissioner of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, Commissioner Kevin Tanner. We heard a presentation on Monday during the meeting of the Behavioral Health Reform Commission from Commissioner Tanner and from Kathy Goslin on what is being done by the department statewide about trying to help our judges across the state to address these waits for forensic evaluations. There was a time back maybe 2 months ago that the commissioner indicated to me that we had over 1,200 people that had court-ordered evaluations who were awaiting those evaluations. I understand that number is now down to about 1,000, given some good work by the commission and by DBHDD. Also understood at that time that we're about 509 people in our state and superior courts that have been charged with criminal offenses for whom orders for evaluations had been entered and who had been evaluated and determined to have been incompetent to stand trial, but capable of restoration, and who were waiting on a bed. And so those are numbers that are not unfamiliar to you all, but those are the numbers that led me to establish this Competency to Stand Trial Committee. I asked Judge Goslin to chair that committee. She was very gracious in agreeing to do that. And I want to now turn it over to Judge Goslin to speak to us today about the committee's work. And so, Judge Goslin, thank you again for your service on this committee, for your longstanding service as a judge in the Northeastern Judicial Circuit. We really appreciate you, and we're anxious to hear about the work of your committee.
Chief, I think Judge Goslin is running a little late. She's out of state today. So maybe
We'll
we
hear-
can skip over
we'll-
that.
We'll hear
And-
from her when she arrives. Just let me know, and we'll circle back. She had a good report about what that committee is doing to try to come up with some recommendations in time to consider them for possible legislation. And if we don't hear from her, then I'll give her report for her. We next move to item 6 on the agenda, materials that you can find on tab 2 of your binders, and that is a report of the American Rescue Plan Act Funding Committee by me. I want to again refer you to tab 2 and report to you and remind you that I reported to you at the last Judicial Council meeting that changes had been implemented to the grant program. Those changes, just to remind you, included last year or earlier this year that the programs would be extended through December 31, 2026, with a final 9-month program in 26, and that all of that extension of the ARPA grant program to our courts to help remediate case backlogs would, of course, be subject to available funding. And there was an extension of the performance period for the calendar year 23 ARPA grant programs through December 31 of 25. And then, of course, there was a decision to extend the calendar year 23 awards to provide circuits with the ability to carry over unspent funds. You all will remember that one of the challenges in hiring was that if we had calendar year grant funds that expired at the end of each year, when you all attempted to hire individuals, including assistant DAs, for example, it's hard to hire folks if you can only promise them that their job is going to be funded for 12 months or less. And so we heard you, and we went to OPB and were able to get some agreement from the committee and from OPB to extend those funds unspent in 1 year into the next year. We also this now are reporting that we've accepted applications for the calendar year 24 and 25 funding. We accepted those applications from August the 28th through September 15th. We received applications for grant funding under the ARPA program from 39 judicial circuits. 3 of those circuits were new circuits who had not yet taken advantage of the ARPA grant program from its inception. 36 had applied for additional funds to meet their existing calendar year 23 award. The committee met on November 3rd and awarded grants to all 39 circuits. The total amount of those awards totaled $20,712,972. That figure constitutes nearly the entire full balance of the original $96 million in ARPA funds that had been committed to the judicial branch that have not been expended or encumbered in prior awards. Included in that round of funding was first-time audiovisual equipment modernization funding to 7 circuits with existing awards, and 3 new awards, all included AV funding as well. A total of 31 circuits have now been awarded AV equipment modernization funding, which, as you all know, became an eligible expense earlier this year. And we again thank OPB for allowing us the ability to offer that as an eligible expense for circuits throughout the state. We still think, and I think you do too, that having that AV equipment modernization will help expedite the movement of cases in our state. As of this round of funding, now 46 of Georgia's 50 judicial circuits have received ARPA grants since the program began in January of 22. The committee intends to accept applications for budget amendments. So those individuals, circuits that have current grant awards are going to be able to amend those awards during April of 2024. The opportunity for new funding during that application cycle and future funding is undetermined at this time. Obviously, we will need to see what amount of encumbered funds have been spent and are available for reallocation. All circuits are encouraged to focus on spending the money that they have that is carried over from calendar year 23 awards. The committee expects to reevaluate the status of all awards to coincide with the expected fall 2024 application period. So I really appreciate the work of the ARPA committee. Really want to extend continued appreciation to Cynthia Clanton and her team. Very very good team that has worked diligently to make sure that this program was a success. I do think we are making progress in moving cases, predominantly serious violent felony criminal cases across this state, and that these funds have aided greatly. And so I just want you all to know how much I appreciate your support. But that is the report of the ARPA Funding Committee. I will now turn to the Legislation Committee, whose materials are found at tab 3, and my colleague, Presiding Justice Nels Peterson, to give a report of the Legislation Committee.
Thank you, Chief. As you'll recall, at the August meeting, the Judicial Council approved several pieces of legislation, and I have 2 more for you today coming from our committee's November 15th meeting. And as a reminder, we traditionally vote on items and make recommendations in concept rather than settling on exact language. This allows for flexibility and changes during the legislative process. And our weekly Zooms during session will kind of keep you all up to date on how those things progress. So we have 2 action items for you today. The first one is a recommendation from the Judicial Security Standing Committee, and it relates to protecting judges' personally identifiable information. This legislation would develop a process to identify and manage judges' personally identifiable information and notify state and local government entities of personally identifiable information that must be restricted from publicly available content. We anticipate continued conversation around what this process would look like, as well as conversations with partners and stakeholders. Justice LaGrua is available to answer any questions, and she will give a report from the Standing Committee following the legislative report. And so, Chief, I would make a motion that the Standing Committee on Legislation recommends the Judicial Council support legislation to provide for the development of a process to identify and manage judges' personally identifiable information and for notifying state and local government entities of the restriction of such information.
That is a motion before the council. Are there any questions of anyone concerning that recommendation? Hearing none, is there any opposition to the Judicial Council supporting that recommendation of the Judicial Security Committee? Hearing none, it is approved. You have a second item?
Yes, sir. From the Council of Municipal Court Judges, there is a proposal to extend the minimum term of municipal court judges from 1 year to 2 years to ensure that no geographic restrictions are placed on judges' ability to serve, or that any provisions regarding at-will employment are included in a written agreement between a judge and a municipality, and it would more narrowly define procedures for the removal of municipal court judges. This has been a priority of the council for some time, and I just really want to recognize their collaboration and efforts to work with the Georgia Municipal Association to work out sort of general agreement on this. GMA has indicated it will not oppose this proposal. Judge McCord is available to answer any questions y'all have, and I would make the motion. The Standing Committee on Legislation recommends the Judicial Council support legislation to extend the minimum term for municipal court judges and provide other amendments regarding the service and removal for cause of municipal court judges.
So that comes likewise as a motion from the Legislation Committee. I echo your appreciation for the collaboration of the council with GMA as an interested stakeholder in this matter. Does anyone have any questions concerning this motion? I hear no questions. Is anyone opposed to the Judicial Council approving this consistent with the motion that has been made by the committee? Hearing no opposition, it is likewise approved. Presiding Justice Peterson, thank you for that presentation. Do you have anything else to present?
Just a reminder that the council has authorized the committee to act on its behalf during the legislative session, which begins in January. The committee will convene its regular weekly conference calls during session to share information and updates. We continue to ask everyone to share information, anything you hear that is potentially legislatively related, even if it seems to affect only one class of court, so that we can speak with one voice, coordinate as a judicial branch. But also during session, it's often difficult to anticipate what seemingly unrelated matters may actually have a significant effect on other priorities and initiatives. And so the more we can be in the loop on what's going on, the better we can serve all of you and the judicial branch and the judicial system. So thank you for continuing to keep those lines of communication open. And please, as always, reach out to me or to Tracy Mason with any questions or feedback.
Thank you, Justice Peterson. We appreciate the work of the Legislation Committee and the thoughtful input from the Judicial Security Committee and the Council of Municipal Court Judges for matters in the upcoming session. Next, we move to item C in your agenda, which is a report from the Judicial Security Committee, which is a committee that I have created. I thank Justice Sean Ellen LaGrua for agreeing to chair that committee and for the hard work of that committee thus far. And we will now hear from Justice LaGrua, an oral report. There are no materials, but Justice LaGrua, thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Chief and Presiding Justice. Thank you for the opportunity to report about the progress of the Judicial Council Standing Committee on Judicial Security. In the last few years, there has been an increased threat to judges across the country, particularly outside the courtroom and outside the courthouse. Just last month in Maryland, a circuit court judge, Andrew Wilkinson, was killed by a litigant in the driveway of his home. Lots of agencies have publicly available personal information, for instance, ethics, tax commissioner. Our other states have started addressing ways to deal with this issue, and after reviewing the processes of other states, we are behind the legislation that Presiding Justice Peterson just talked about. There are two challenges: who possesses the information and who are the judges that need to be protected. We are working with the Legislation Committee and the legislation subcommittee of JSEC to address those things. That's on the legislative side. Chief, on the situational awareness and physical security side, the committee is working with Chief Wigginton and his team at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center to design comprehensive training in this area to roll out across all classes of courts next year. Their team has already met with a group of judges in this state representing all classes of court to get their input and plot out that training. The analysis of it has been done and the build out has started. We anticipate rolling out that training right after the first of the year. I want to thank the committee and all the participants. We couldn't do this without the expertise of those that you've allowed us to appoint and bring in on this. I thank you again, Chief, for giving me the opportunity to work on this important initiative. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and happy anything else to everyone on the call. May you have a safe and happy holiday. That's my report, Chief, if there aren't any questions.
Thank you for the report, Justice Gruen, for your service and for the service of your really broad group of stakeholders that have been included as members of that committee. Does anyone have any questions concerning the ongoing and what we expect to be continuing work of the Judicial Security Committee? I'm confident. I know we did a poll as well, Justice LaGrua, where we reached out to judges across the state to gauge their interest in these matters. And of course, we're vitally concerned about judicial security, and particularly how, in addition to the personal threats, but how it affects the rule of law and the importance of an independent judiciary. And so I appreciate your work. Other questions? Any comments? Hearing none, we will move to item D on the agenda, which is to hear from my colleague, Justice Carla Warren McMillan, on the work of the Court Interpreters Committee, whose materials can be found at tab 4 of your binders. Justice McMillan.
Thank you, Chief. My report will be brief. As you all know, the Committee on Court Interpreters published a substantial revision to their rules about 6 months ago. Those rules are to take effect January 1, 2024. The new rules include new license designations and requirements for spoken language interpreters, and also for the first time ever, the rules also encompass American Sign Language interpreters for the deaf or hard of hearing. The AOC, is probably many of the trial court judges know, they have on their website a searchable directory of interpreters that you can go to if you're looking for an interpreter. The AOC is continuing to populate that directory based on the new designations and also trying to incorporate the American Sign Language interpreters. But I just want to tell you that as we're transitioning, it is a work in progress. And so please be patient with us. If you do have any questions, trial judges or any other judges, and about trying to find an interpreter and you can't find one on our directory, please do contact the AOC staff. They will be more than happy to help you. Also, I want to report that the committee is continuing its work transitioning to the new rules by updating the bench book chapters on best practices in the use of court interpreters and the model administrative protocol that was published several years ago. This effort is being led by Judge Jana Edmondson Cooper. She's working hard on that, so please be on the lookout for updates to these bench book chapters later this year. Chief, that completes my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Justice McMillan? I want to applaud the committee for the really fine work that you've done that's representative of the growth of Georgia and the need for this revision of rules. And so we really appreciate that. We appreciate especially the bench book and the work that guidance that's going to help provide judges across the state in dealing with this important issue. So if there are no questions, Justice McMillan, I don't see any. Thank you for your work. Thank you, committee members. And we will now move to item E in our agenda, which is to hear from the Technology Committee. Judge Steve Kelly from Brunswick Circuit is here with us. I'm not sure whether he or Justice LaGrua are presenting, but we will now hear from the Technology Committee, whose materials can be found at tab 5.
Chief, with your permission, I'll defer to Judge Kelly.
Yep.
Judicial Council, glad to be here today, and it's like being in person, but it's Zoom when it's such a long ways away, and we got court. This really works out nice too. We had to actually postpone our full technology meeting because of a conflict with CDX board. But we have a lot of subcommittees that got things going on, a lot of irons in the fire, and those are in our report under our tab. I do want to just bring attention to a couple of things. One, of course, is to keep all members of the Judicial Council, tell your folks to keep out, look for emails for educational training that Ben, Luke, and the staff have been putting on. They're great trainings. Also, of course, the Protective Orders Registry, in years in making, and these new forms and the training, we're trying to get that rolled out amongst the different agencies. Also, we made a motion to clean up a rule dealing with single sign-on last time we met. I'm hoping, Mr. Chief Justice, we could get that either on our February or April 9th meeting. There might be a few other things that the council wishes to clean up in some of those rules. With the CDX meeting, they put out a new list of standards, and I think Ben would like to speak just a few minutes to that. Mr. Luke.
All right, thanks, Judge Kelly. Ben Luke will speak to the CDX board standards, which were, I think, published and made available on November 16th. Is that right, Ben?
That's correct, Chief. So the materials are actually or the CDX standards are included in your materials, I think around page 100, subsequent to the Technology Committee's report. But just very briefly, the Criminal Case Data Exchange Board met on November 16th and passed version 6.0 of the, referring to them in shorthand as the CDX standards, but they are a body of standards that govern the exchange and transmission of criminal case data from arrest to post-disposition. They involve every stakeholder in the criminal justice life cycle. So I encourage you to take a moment, review the standards. I think they are the best and most easily digestible version of the standards to date. They really focus on process improvement and communication amongst the stakeholders to result in better criminal histories in our state and better outcomes and better data. So adopting those standards does not come with a significant investment of time, resources, or people, and we do welcome feedback as a board. So now that we have a workable body of standards that we think will result in some successes, we're going to turn our attention to education and adoption. So that's my report. Entertain any questions.
Thank you, Ben. Are there any questions? You will all will find version 6.0 of the Criminal Case Data Exchange Board rules. They're only 17 pages. And you can digest those fairly well, and they're self-explanatory. But we appreciate the presentation and the board's adoption of those rules. Anybody have any questions concerning the CDX presentation or the presentation from Judge Kelly on the Technology Committee matters? All right, I hear none. Thank you both for that report. We appreciate your service. As Judge Leonard is with us, and I understand he will now present for item F on our agenda, and that is a report of the Judicial Workload Assessment Committee, whose materials can be found at tab 6 of your materials. So with that, Judge Leonard, welcome and thank you.
Well, thank you, Chief. Be a short report today. The JWAC committee met on November the 17th. The only action item really to present to you all in the form of a motion from the committee would be an update to the policy on the submission of caseload reports and some minor updates to the statistical guide that we push out to the court clerks for case counting. And so those amendments are relatively minor. When we last got a presentation subsequent to a presentation that I did for the Superior Court judges about really taking some ownership of their data and updating case types that tend to sometimes get miscategorized when a filing party initiates a case, and sometimes they check a box on the case initiation form that maybe isn't representative of what the case really is. And so I've been encouraging everyone to really take a look at it, take some ownership of their data and update it. You know, if there's a count for a tort, we want it to be counted as a tort, or sometimes a counterclaim or an amendment or a cross claim changes the nature of what that case is categorized. And so we put a provision in there because when we get these updates from the trial courts, they were getting listed as late case reports or corrections. And so I really wanted to put a provision in there about amendments. So it's really a minor policy change to allow for amendments and really just more accurately call those what they are, because there's nothing late about them. We're encouraging folks to take some ownership of their data. And so that's what that amendment is all about. And in the statistical guide, we've got some updated definitions for accountability courts. There just wasn't anything in there. We've got some instructions for the clerks how to get on and upload and submit their data now, as well as the updated timeline for 2024. That's the only action item that I have, Chief. That would be a motion from the committee to approve those updates in section 2.3 of the Judicial Council policy.
Okay. Are there questions concerning the action item and the motion to amend the statistical reporting guide in the manner as outlined by Judge Leonard? Hearing none, is there any opposition? Hearing none, they're approved, Judge Leonard. Thank you for that report and for that presentation. You have something else?
Yeah, there's a couple other little minor updates. We did receive from staff the circuit boundary analysis that was requested on both the Piedmont Circuit and the Coweta Judicial Circuit. The committee received those from staff, forwarded those on to the requesters and to you. We got an update on the interactive caseload dashboards, and so I encourage you all to go check those out. They're very interactive, and they're nice. I also want to let you know I'm kind of putting a hold on clearance rate awards. I've put together a subcommittee to take a look at that and put some guardrails around the clearance rates. We don't want to eliminate them, but if they're going to be out there and get used for some of the things that they seem to have been used for lately, we want to make sure that they're being done in an appropriate manner, and that everybody is on a level playing field. So I will report back at a subsequent meeting about the results of that subcommittee that's studying the clearance rate awards. But for now, we'll kind of be pausing the issuance of those from the committee. So that's my update.
No action required on those informational items. We appreciate the work of the JWAC committee. And any questions to Judge Leonard concerning the work of that committee or the report of the committee?
Thanks, Chief.
All right, good job. Thank you for that. We move to item G in the agenda, which is a report from the Judicial Council Budget Committee, which is chaired by Justice Bethel, and there's a written report only. There is no oral report. You have the materials at tab 7 of your binder outlining the budget status report materials of the Judicial Council. If there's nothing else to be heard from the Budget Committee, we'll move to item H, which is a report from the Court Reporting Matters Committee. Likewise, there's only a written report there. I believe that's correct. Is that right? That is correct. There is a new order that we entered regarding chair and vice chair, but it's not an action item and there's no additional material. All of that's found at tab 8, including a copy of that order. We had scheduled a break here, but if y'all don't mind, we seem to be moving along at a good pace. So I will now, without objection, if everybody's okay, let's move to item 7 on the agenda and hear Ms. Clanton from you and a report from the Judicial Council AOC.
Thanks, Chief, justices, judges, and judicial branch leaders. As 2023 comes to a close, it's time for us to wrap up our 50th anniversary commemorations and get ready for 2024. The first draft of our 2023 annual report is almost ready for your feedback. So check your emails following this meeting. Let us know if anything needs to be highlighted, corrected, changed, added before we produce another draft. Your feedback on this work is deeply appreciated and very, very important to us. I want to thank our 2023 Judicial Council Fellow, retired Judge Tane Kell, who I believe is on our call today, who did an amazing job with our celebrations this year. He helped with the annual report, produced a series of videos about the Judicial Council, made multiple presentations, and organized our service event with Habitat Humanity in Cobb County last September. And yes, I do have pink work gloves. That is me. Thank you, Judge Kell, for your meaningful contributions. As a final 50th anniversary activity, we're going to be hosting a wellness panel for the judicial branch on Thursday, December 14th from 1 to 2 p.m. The panel will be held in person with a live stream available. There are going to be 3 featured speakers, an expert on nutrition, an expert on sleep, which would be really good to hear. And presiding Judge Stephen Dillard is going to talk to us about his year-long exercise journey. Now, did you know that he actually runs an 8-minute mile now? That is super good. So needless to say, he is the exercise enthusiast on the panel. If you're not available to watch, don't worry. Video of this panel is going to be archived and circulated through the December edition of our Georgia Courts Journal. Now, our goal with this is to keep us all healthy for the next 50 years. In that same vein, thanks, Chief, for participating in the Wellness Podcast with the State Bar of Georgia. I very much enjoyed your interview. It was great, and urge you all to listen to it as well. As an additional educational item, please check out our updated explainer video, which answers the question, what is the Judicial Council, narrated by Chief Justice Boggs and Chief Judge Mercier. Also want to thank all of the justices and judges who participated in the Constitution Day videos, shown, some of them shown here. They turned out super well, and I appreciate you all taking the time to work on those community engagement efforts as they build trust in the judicial branch for both the general public and Georgia students. November is National Veterans and Military Families Month, and we enjoyed posting stories of our judges who run veteran treatment courts and post about our state judges and our court staff who have served in the military. Very important. Thank you to the staff of the Council of Accountability Court Judges, one of our favorite partners, who helped us gather many moving stories that demonstrate the powerful transformations taking place in those courts day in and day out. Our Meet the Members of the Judicial Council webpage has been updated and now features Chief State Court Judge Jeff Hansen, presiding Juvenile Court Judge Warner Cannon, Probate Court Judge Daniel McRae, and Vice Chief Superior Court Judge Ann Harris. The videos look really, really good, and I enjoyed watching those. Well done, Chief Judge Brenda Weaver, Judge Charles Oslander, and the Council of Accountability Court Judge, or Executive Director Taylor Jones, for your wonderful conversation and education about accountability courts and episode 54 of Justice Speaks podcast. Number of your councils had successful conferences over the past 3 months, including the municipal, magistrate, state, juvenile, and accountability courts, plus the court administrators. I was fortunate enough to be invited to give remarks at the Council of State Court Judges Conference, which was wonderful fun. And I snapped this great picture of Judge Wong receiving not one, but two, because he's really that good. The first was in recognition of Chief Judge Wong's efforts to advance legislation important to the Council of State Court Judges. And the second was for the Ogden Doremus Kent Lawrence Award, which is the Council's highest judicial service award. Congrats to our chair, Chief Justice Boggs, who received the National Alliance on Mental Illness Georgia Mental Health Champion Award. Well-deserved, Chief. Thank you for your continued work on mental health in Georgia. The two-day orientation hosted by the Judicial Council Committee on Interpreters was very successful and well-attended. The session included 16 hours of training on modes of interpreting, courtroom procedures, the legal process, and interpreters' ethics. As the technology report stated earlier, the Judicial Council AOC hosted the CDEX board meeting for the second time in the AOC offices. I want to thank the entire board and the AOC staff for working so hard to finalize and approve the standards governing the electronic exchange of criminal justice data. Our friend Pete Skandalakis from PAC is the board chair, featured there in all black, except for the blue jeans. Not sure what's going on there, but he does an amazing job leading this group. This was a big accomplishment from this multidisciplinary board, which will greatly benefit our state. Special session of the Georgia General Assembly just wrapped up, which gave us an opportunity to present early conversations and have early conversations as we prepare for the upcoming 2024 regular session. Just as a reminder, you can track the status of bills our team is following by using the webpage, our webpage, with the link. So please look for that. We recognize National Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs from mid-September through mid-October with a collage to honor our Georgia judges. Our court observation program continues, and we thank Judge Warren Davis, Judge Amanda Petty of the Ocmulgee Circuit, and Judge Regina Matthews of Gwinnett County for hosting our staff members in their courtrooms. Thank you to Judge Jolly for speaking at our all-staff meeting in September, and Chief Judge Will for speaking in November. It's always great to hear from the people we serve. And now, as I traditionally do, I'd like to welcome some of the newest members of our judicial branch family. Today, we've got Judge Joe Huffman's son, Charles, happy little guy, and Daisy and Ginger, the pups of Jasmine Duffman, in our HR department. AOC is a service agency. We exist to serve you, the members of the Judicial Council. Please call on me anytime and let me know how we can support your work on and off the bench. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cynthia. That was a very good report. Really appreciate all of the judges across the state. You know, Cynthia does a great job of reminding us what we hear throughout the year about the good work of our judges in all classes of court and how they're lifting up the important work of the court, whether that's through access to justice or civics education or judicial programs that benefit the people that our judges serve. We all know that helps build public trust and confidence in the work of our courts. And so, Cynthia, thank you for reminding us of what these judges across the state are doing to assist. Before we move on to reports under item 8 of our agenda, we've not, I don't know that Judge Gosselin is going to be able to be with us, so I will simply draw your attention back to item 5 of the agenda, which was an update on the work of the Competency to Stand Trial Committee. I reiterate that committee was established by me as chair of the Mental Health Courts and Corrections Subcommittee of the Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission. That's really a mouthful, but that committee that committee was tasked with taking a look at what what recommendations could we come up with for recommendations to the General Assembly for potential legislation or even budgetary appropriations considerations to help resolve and address backlogs that our judges in our superior and state courts are experiencing in dealing with criminal defendants who are alleged to have behavioral health issues that might impact their ability and competency to stand trial or to otherwise resolve and dispose of their criminal cases. I would remind you that the numbers that I mentioned to you earlier are coming down. We've heard from DBHDD and Commissioner Tanner and his forensic director on Monday during a commission meeting in Atlanta, where they indicated that they have employed some strategies within the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities internally to try to triage the number of cases that they have where forensic evaluations have been ordered. And there has been a bed study report done by the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities where they've addressed the need for additional forensic beds across the state. A report from Dr. Brenda Fitzgerald about the need not only for forensic beds, but for mental health evaluation beds stemming from 1013 commitments and otherwise. Judge Gosselin reported to the committee at that time that the committee is undertaking a look at what might be able to be done for our superior and state courts, including building up community-based restoration and maybe thinking more holistically about how we might, instead of using state forensic beds, use local beds or even outpatient restoration. There were additional conversations about the importance of building up jail-based restoration. That is, instead of signing an order requiring a commitment to a state bed for evaluation, but rather that could be done, that evaluation could be done maybe in a jail. And we have some jail pilot programs ongoing now to determine the worth of those programs. In addition, conversations that I've asked her to consider about more fully informing not only the bar, but our judges about the competency evaluation process. Cynthia may be considering the evaluation and potential usefulness of a bench book around competency to help our judges understand what issues are in play and when those competency evaluations are required to be performed. So that's the work ongoing of the committee, and you'll hear more and more about the work of the Competency to Stand Trial Committee. But Judge Gosselin and her committee are doing a great job. So I thank her and those members for that work. Now moving back to where we were in the agenda. Item number 8, where we will hear reports from courts, councils, and the state bar. All of those materials are found at tab 10 of your binder. My report is included in item tab 10, a written report of the work of the Supreme Court, and I stand on my written report. We now move to item B, which is to hear from Judge Mercier on the work of the Court of Appeals. Judge Mercier, welcome, and thank you for all you do for our state.
Thank you, Chief. We have a report as well. It's written, and we will stand on our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Judge Hamrick is here. Do you have a report for the statewide business court, Judge Hamrick?
We have a written report that was sent in, and we'll stand on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. From the Council of Superior Court Judges, Judge John Morse.
We have a written report that we're going to stand on. We would just like to highlight just 2 little points in that, and that would be the retirements of Chief Judge Howard Sims of the Macon Judicial Circuit and Chief Judge James Blanchard of the Columbia Judicial Circuit. And we would like to thank both of them for their long service to the state of Georgia and to their respective circuits. And we stand on our report.
Thank you, Judge. We appreciate your recognition of these fine colleagues. Next, moving to the Council of State Court Judges, Judge John Edwards. I saw you earlier.
Yes. Yes, sir, Mr. Chief Justice. We submitted a written report as well, and we stand upon that report, and we just wish everyone happy holidays.
Thank you, Judge. The Council of Juvenile Court Judges, presiding Judge Warner Kennan. Is Judge Kennan with us?
I don't think Judge Kennan is present. This is Neil Brown. I'm the president-elect of the council. I think Judge Kennan submitted a report. If he didn't, if we could be allowed to supplement the record with a report, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fine, Judge. I'm looking here very quickly to see if we have a report, and I do not see one. But you're welcome to do that. Please feel free. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Next, Council of Probate Court Judges, Judge Danielle McCray.
Yes, sir. There's been a report submitted and we stand on that report. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Council Magistrate Court Judges, Judge Brandon Bryson again.
Good morning, Chief Justice. Just a quick little report. We had our executive meeting in the fall, went very well. It was held in conjunction with our fall recertification. We wrapped up our 40th anniversary with a small reception. It was great to see a lot of our judges across the state. Later on this fall, we had a Magistrate Court Training Council. Took a good look at our policies, revamped and cleaned up our policies after years of piecemeal changes here and there. And we're very proud of the work of our Magistrate Court Training Council and all their efforts there. And just want to let everybody know that we have Magistrate Day at the Capitol on February 1st. It's the same day as Probate Day at the Capitol. Our slot is from 8 to 10. We'll be providing breakfast. It's not enough time for me to learn how to make my mama's biscuits, so rest assured it'll be catered. So we'd love to see you if you want to stop by.
Well, thank you, Judge. We appreciate that report. Always good to hear from you, and thank you. Council Municipal Court Judges, Chief Judge Matt McCord. Judge McCord, welcome.
Yes, sir. We'll stand on our report. Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
That's a good report, Judge. Thank you. Next, from the State Bar, Tony Del Campo, my good friend. Tony, thank you for being here and for all the work of the State Bar of Georgia. Do you have a report for us today?
I'll have a brief oral report, Judge. Anytime you give a lawyer an opportunity to speak, he always takes you up on it. I will be brief, though. Thank you, Chief Justice. It's an honor and privilege to be here. On behalf of the 54,000 or so Georgia lawyers, I want to thank all of you in the judiciary for what you do to ensure that justice is served in our state. When we last met, I outlined our priorities for the current bar year, and I'm happy to report that all of those are moving along very nicely. The building improvements have begun, and by and large, they have come at or under budget. I also talked about our website that we are revamping. We had a meeting just yesterday with lawyers throughout the state to discuss how our membership utilizes our website and the ways in which it can be improved in terms of functionality and ease of use. We expect to have a beta version of the new website by the annual meeting in June and a final version by the end of the summer. I also continue to stress our wellness initiatives throughout the state every chance I get an opportunity to speak. And I am heartened to hear the AOC's efforts for wellness in the judiciary. I think that is a very, very worthwhile initiative. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly for today's meeting, as I mentioned during our last meeting, the State Bar stands ready to support you in any way that we can, including efforts that are underway to address judicial compensation. Yesterday, we had the Advisory Committee on Legislation meeting where I requested that this issue be put on the agenda. We were honored to have Tracy Mason there with us, and she gave an excellent report. We also had Andrew Zoll from the AOC there, Judge John Morris, the President of the Council of Superior Court Judges, and Deborah Nesbitt. And after a robust discussion on the issue, I am pleased to inform that the committee voted unanimously to support this legislative proposal. So we will continue to do that. Once that proposal is set, we will probably put it on the agenda again to more formally support that process. So thank you for all you do, and to everybody, have a happy holiday season.
Thank you, Mr. President. We really appreciate the support of legislative initiatives that are important to the judicial branch, but we also really appreciate the support generally that you all give to the judges across this state in the service of our, what you say, nearly 54,000 lawyers in this state. So thank you for your service to the bar and to the lawyers. Thank you. We will now hear from item 9, reports from additional judicial branch agencies, and we begin with Taylor Jones with the Council of Accountability Court Judges.
Good morning, Chief Justice and members of the council. CACJ is going to stand on our written report, but I do want to highlight that within that report, it does list our model mental health courts and our model DUI courts for 2023. These courts will serve in this capacity until 2026. Not only are they recognized for their good work as model courts, but they will also serve as learning sites for others throughout the state. Thank you for the opportunity to report. Happy holidays. Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
Thank you, Taylor. We really appreciate the work of the council and appreciate that report. You should all know that there are ongoing efforts in addition to ensure that juvenile court judges, accountability courts go through the same certification and peer review process that other courts go through. So that's an important aspect of the work of the accountability court judges, and also important to maintain the integrity of those accountability court programs that are, I think, models across the country of best practices. So thank you also to the judges that serve those courts. Next, we will hear from Tracy Johnson from the Georgia Commission on Dispute Resolution. And I forgot to remind you, all these materials are found at tab 11 of your binders. So Tracy.
Well, this is Cindy Morris. I'm reporting for Tracy.
Okay.
For the Commission on Dispute Resolution, we would stand on our written report, but I do want to just give a couple of highlights. The 30th Annual ADR Institute was held on November 16th. It was a huge success. We had 540 registered for the event, with 170 attending in person and 370 viewing on the live stream. I want to thank Cynthia Clanton and the AOC for all their support in that. And Tracy Johnson and Carly Saz from our commission, from the Office of Dispute Resolution, really put in a lot of work to make this a success. It was truly a team effort between Tracy and Carly and AOC staff. We just appreciate their support, and thank you, Cynthia, for all you and your staff did for us. I would point out too that our 2024 meeting dates are listed at the end of our written report. Our December 4th meeting will be in Macon at Mercer Law School. Chief Justice Boggs, thought you might want to know that because I'd never miss a chance to say go Bears.
Go Bears.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to report, and everyone have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Thank you.
Thank you for the report, Judge. Really appreciate that. We will next hear from the Council of Superior Court clerks, Stacey Harrelson or Mike Holloman. I'm not sure who's reporting.
Chief, both Ms. Harrelson and myself are on the meeting today. Stacey is the Superior Court clerk in Harris County and current council president. Thank you. The only thing I'd like to report is, as Ben Luke noted earlier in this meeting, we have also provided all of our members with copies of the updated CDX standards. And actually, Stacey and the council will convene a meeting next week to begin a revision of the council's mandated CDX standards to both amplify and emphasize certain parts of the CDX standards that are of particular relevance to clerks. I don't know if Stacey might have anything else to add, but that's the only thing we have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Holloman. Madam Clerk, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Chief Justice. I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you both. Now we hear from the Chief Justice's Commission on Professionalism. Carlise, are you here with us today?
Yes. Good morning, Chief. How are you today?
Good morning. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Just briefly, we do have a written report, but I do want to highlight one item, which is Law Day, which is coming up in May of 2024. I know it seems a long way off, but many of our judges probably have calendars planned throughout that time. So we do want to highlight it. I hope you'll be hearing more information during your winter conference. The theme for Law Day this year from the American Bar Association is Voices of Democracy. Here in Georgia, we are going to focus our Law Day efforts around the importance of the judicial branch in judicial elections, since they will be taking place during the month of May. We have a team that will be working on talking points to help provide to our judges, and we would encourage you to get involved with this civic education, help build public trust and confidence in our courts by educating students and adults about the importance of judicial elections in our system of justice. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Carlise. We truly appreciate your service on the commission. Appreciate the work of the commission, particularly the work around civics education and building up public trust and confidence. But I also want to highlight, in addition to Law Day upcoming, we have the Justice Robert Benham Awards upcoming. Hope you will all participate in that. Really appreciate the work of the commission and highlighting an aspect of our profession that is important, and that's the need to continue aspirational professional goals and maintain the high standards. So thank you, Carlise, for what you and your committee do to elevate that conversation. Next, we will hear. You're welcome. Next, we will hear from the Georgia Council on Court Administrators, and I'm not sure who's presenting. Is it Lenora Hawkins Ponzo, I think?
Good morning, Chief Justice. Yes, this is Lenora Hawkins Ponzo, the president of GCCA. We will stand on our written report, and we just want to thank the ALC for their continued support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, the Institute of Continuing Judicial Education and Lynn Moore Nelson.
Good morning, or after, nope, still morning, everyone. We will stand on our report. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Courtney Veal is here for the Judicial Qualifications Commission. Do you have a report, Ms. Veal?
We don't have anything new to report, Chief Justice. Happy holidays to everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. And from the Georgia Association of Juvenile Court Clerks, Samantha Cannon is here to present.
Chief, I don't think Samantha is with us, and they didn't have a report.
Okay. We will check on them. Thank you for that. Well, that's gotten us through the bulk of our agenda. Let me ask, is there any old business that anyone would like to raise at this time? Hearing none, is there any new business? Hearing none, let me just remind everybody how appreciative I am. You know, we have a very wide array of judicial branch agencies and classes of courts. Roughly, I think now, Cynthia, 1,600 judges in the state. I want to reiterate what I think Presiding Justice Peterson mentioned earlier in his legislation report as an aspirational goal, and that is collaboration. Collaboration and continuing to speak with one voice on matters that pertain to our work. And so I'm really proud of the work that all of you have been doing selectively and siloed, but notably how it affects the broader work of our state judiciary. I'm proud of the work of our courts and proud of the work of all of you and your leadership that you're providing, not only in the jobs that you have relative to the oaths that you've taken, but also the work you do outside of your day job, and that is the work you do in administering the courts and your respective classes of courts, and lifting up and elevating conversations around the importance of accountability courts and the importance of access to justice and the importance of moving cases. The citizens of our state are served very well by each of you, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. Wish you all a wonderful holiday season. I think also in the nature of concluding remarks, you should know that Director Clanton and I are in the process of planning continued meetings with Judicial Council leaders to afford me and the presiding justice an opportunity to meet with each of your class of court leadership to hear about your needs and concerns. I've already had an opportunity just this week to meet with Judge Bill Hamrick with the statewide business courts. That was a very productive meeting and very helpful to me, Judge Hamrick, and I thank you for making yourself available to meet with us and help us inform us of the work of the statewide business court. I also had an opportunity this week to meet with the Superior Court judges, Judge John Morris, his leadership team. Thank you, Judge Morris, for the opportunity to meet with you and appreciate the collaborative nature with which you all work with us on issues that are important to the judicial branch. I have other meetings upcoming with various classes of court. If you've not already heard from from Cynthia Clanton, you will hear from either her or someone in her shop around arranging these meetings, hopefully before the legislative session begins.
And Chief Justice, Judge Kennan was able to join us from the car. He's the president of the Council of Juvenile Court Judges. Welcome, sure. Judge Kennan.
Thank you, Judge. I've actually been here, but I've had terrible cell service and I've been going in and out. I apologize. I'm headed to J4C. I know that Neil gave a report on our behalf, and I just want you to know that this is very important to us, and that I apologize for the confusion, but I was here. Thank you, sir.
No worries at all. I thought I'd seen you earlier, Judge, and safe travels, and appreciate your work on that committee as well that you're traveling to. So thank you for letting me know.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd like to inform everybody that our next meeting is a general session, which will be held on Friday, February the 9th, from 10 to ongoing, starting at 10, hopefully ending before 12:30. But that's a Zoom only meeting. So I hope everybody can make it to that meeting. We also have other calendar year 24 meeting schedule items that are now on your screen that you can see those meetings, two of which will be at the Nathan Deal Judicial Center. And the final one will be like this one, Zoom near the holidays. So if there's nothing else for the good of the order, Ms. Clanton, thank you again for your arrangement of these Judicial Council meetings. Thank you for your service to all of the various classes of court. Thank you all judges for your service. And with that, if there's nothing else, I wish you all a safe holiday season. Look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Happy holidays.
Have a good one, Judge.